That big breaking transfer news 3 days after having their opening bid rejected. Arsenal have agreed a £75 million fee with Newcastle United for their captain, Bruno Guimaraes. He's been given permission to travel for a medical. The Brazilian midfielder told Newcastle bosses earlier this summer he wanted to join Arsenal if a suitable offer arrived. Right, good morning, Jay. You're a former Arsenal player yourself. Does this cement Arsenal's position as title favourites?
I think even before this season started and before any signing, I think Arsenal have to be favourites just because they're the champions. But I said from the beginning that Arsenal need to make statement signings. This is a statement signing. I always go back to the days of Alex Ferguson at Man United. He would go and get the best players from other teams to come to Man United and perform. He's one of the best Premier League midfielders, for sure. Arguably one of the best in the world. He can play a number of different roles in midfield. He's definitely an upgrade. He's starting, guaranteed. And I think he will help Declan Rice as well in terms of Arteta will be able to give Declan Rice some games off sometimes. Whereas last year, Declan Rice, he had to play every single game because it was a massive drop-off afterwards. So it's a great signing and it's definitely a step in the right direction. So
you think in that midfield, he's been signed to play with Rice, but at times he'll play alongside Zubimendi or Miles Lewis-Skelly or Mikel Merino so that Rice can have a rest. And it looked like he needed one last season at times and in the World Cup.
Yeah, 100%. When you look at the way he can play as a holding midfielder. He can be that box-to-box midfielder. I've seen him play as a number 10 as well. So he can play a number of different positions, but definitely a number 8. And when that happens, maybe you can take Declan Rice out, give him a rest, bring Zubimendi in, you know, to make that complement again, like when Zubimendi played and you have Declan Rice there. But his best team on paper, he's playing with Declan Rice for sure. I don't know which role it will be. I think Arsenal will modify the formation this year. I think they will play 4-2-3-1. I think they will play with a real number 10, whether it be Eze, who I think it should be, or Odegaard, even Ethan Nwaneri as a number 10. And there's many different options there. But I feel like if you're going to get the best out of all of these players, Arsenal need to start playing with a 10. And I think Declan Rice and Bruno have the intelligence, the football intelligence, to be able to play with each other in terms of if one is going forward, the other one can sit. But again, it's an upgrade on Arsenal's midfield. He is definitely going in. He's starting guaranteed. He's bringing leadership qualities as well, the physicality, the fact that he's good in both boxes. And when you look at his individual attributes, got great range of passing, he's got vision, he can keep the ball, he controls the tempo really well. I think that's something that Arsenal need. In them games where you want to see games out, Arsenal didn't always control the tempo of a game that well. And I think he can bring that. He brings that calmness on the ball. So it's a great signing.
So if this deal goes through, and it can't really see a reason why it wouldn't, it'll be £75 million. He'd actually be Arsenal's second most expensive signings. We can see the kind of what they've spent in the past there, and he'd be second to Declan Rice. Yesterday, Charlie Austin was sitting there, and he said, I said, what should the figure be? He said £75 million. Fair price. Everybody would be happy. So what do you think of the fee?
Yeah, I don't think he's overpaid. I don't think Arsenal have overpaid for that. I think that's a fair price. Was he 28, going 29?
I think he's 29 in November, I think.
Yeah, so he's in his peak years. And so, like nowadays, you know, players are going to play into their mid-30s. You know, they have all the technology in the world. They do the prehab, they do the rehab. They take care of their bodies. And I'm sure he will be the same. So we've signed a player at his peak. And I think that's always a good blend when you're going into a season. You need your youth players, you need your experienced players, but then you need the players playing at their peak, and that's exactly what he is.
Yeah, £75 million it will be. We'll get to the Newcastle side of things in a moment, but it seems like a lot of people, the Arsenal fans, very, very positive about this, which, of course, you could understand there. And alongside Declan Rice, that is an exciting time for Arsenal, who, of course, are already champions. What will Arsenal's title rivals be thinking, looking at this?
I mean, the squad has got better. Of course, they've signed one of the Premier League's best midfielders, which other teams will look at. I mean, listen, I'm sure Man City, Liverpool, Chelsea, whoever it may be, they're going to be concentrating on themselves. But when they look at this signing, they say Arsenal's just got a massive upgrade in their midfield. And you can't help
but Arsenal fans, we want to hear from you on the man behind us here, Bruno Gimaraes, and also Newcastle fans as well. What do you make of your captain leaving for £75 million, having already lost Anthony Gordon as well, and Sandro Tonali, and your head coach in Eddie Howe? Right, Jay, from the Newcastle side of things, if he goes, losing him, can you think of anyone who's going to be more of a loss to Newcastle United since Alan Shearer retired?
Well, I think definitely Isak, because he's gone 20 goals this season.
You think they're missing Isak more than they'll miss Bruno?
Well, yeah. With Isak in the team, they won something. They had a successful season. Last year, they didn't have a successful season, so yeah. And then Tonali, I think they'll miss more. And I would say that because it's tight. It is tight. But I would say Tonali is a better midfielder and he's younger. So, obviously, they'll miss him. And then, obviously, Eddie Howe. I think they're going to miss Eddie Howe massively.
So, actually, quite a lot of people since...
Not quite a lot. It's free.
I will tell you why I asked that question, though, because we can show the win percentage with and without Bruno Gimaraes since he's been at Newcastle. And this is quite surprising, actually. Look at the win rate with Bruno Gimaraes in the side. 52.3% of games they win. Points per game, 1.8. Without him in the side, they only win 12.5%. Were you expecting to see that, Jay?
I mean, the stat that stands out for me is 16. It's only 16 games. You know, if that was more games, then I'd take it. You know, I'd be more surprised. But listen, there's no doubt about it. Bruno is instrumental to the way Newcastle play. I actually didn't think Bruno would be leaving Newcastle. For the way I've seen him conduct himself for Newcastle, you know, him kissing the badge, he's giving public press conferences where he's saying that his family loves Newcastle and they're happy to be there and they're not looking to move. All of these things made me think that he wasn't going to leave. But that just goes to show you how important Eddie Howe is. I think if Eddie Howe stays at Newcastle, and this has been going on for a while, by the way, I don't think that would be a conversation that just happened overnight. I think there would have been in-house conversations. Eddie Howe's always had a really good relationship with Bruno. It's his captain. He always spoke really well of him. But I genuinely think if Eddie Howe was staying and if Eddie Howe was getting what he wanted, then Bruno wouldn't be leaving Newcastle. But he has to now because he wants to win things. He wants to be successful. He's got his own ambitions. And obviously he's going to one of the best sides in the world.
Well, Newcastle fans, we want to hear from you. Just like Stuart's got in touch, says Newcastle will regret selling Bruno. He's the best holding midfielder and he could be the difference between us, being Newcastle, getting relegated or not. I'm worried this means we're going down. Is Stuart being a little bit pessimistic there? Yes, they've lost some key players, but
I mean, listen,
relegated, really?
They've signed some players. We don't know how they're going to... If they hit the ground running, you know, they might be very good. They might be effective. And then you say, well, we don't really miss Bruno because we've got someone that's come in and done really well. I don't think Newcastle will get relegated. But I said this the other day on the show, and, you know, I got a stick from Newcastle fans saying I don't know what happens at Newcastle. One thing I do know is football players. I know football players, and every single football player that I've ever come across has ambition. And when a club like Arsenal, Man United, Chelsea, Man City, any club like that comes for you and offers you more money and gives you the opportunity to go and win things and play in the Champions League, that player is going to have his head turned. I think the only thing that kept Bruno at Newcastle before was Eddie Howe. Now Eddie Howe's gone, there's been an exodus. Anthony Gordon's left. Tonali's left. Bruno's leaving. You know, and the squad is depleted. Now there's even talk about Hall going to Man United. Livramento's been, you know, linked to massive clubs in the last 2 years. I think the only reason why he won't be leaving is because obviously he's injured. But it is sad to see where Newcastle is now. When the owners came in initially, they was talking about, you know, Newcastle being title contenders. I think they said 5 to 10 years. So it's like now where they are, they're nowhere near title contenders. They're nowhere near the Champions League spots. You know, and it's sad because it's a great club, such a great atmosphere at St James's Park. The fans are always really passionate, and I'm sure the fans will be going into this season looking at the fact that Bruno's gone, Tonali's gone, Gordon's gone, Isak's gone, all of those amazing players that are some of the best in the world left. What are they looking forward to now? Realistically, they're going to be, you know, mid to bottom of the Premier League table, and no one wants to see Newcastle there because they're a fantastic club.